After this video, you'll understand why some of the strongest women you know are terrified of falling in love, and why almost nobody is talking about the real reason. People think it's about trust issues or past trauma, but that's only half the story. The truth is far more complex, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. These women aren't afraid of love itself. They're afraid of what love will cost them. And once you see why, everything about modern relationships will make sense. Women didn't stop believing in love because they're cold or emotionally unavailable. They stopped because the math changed. For generations, women were told that love meant sacrifice. That being soft meant being weak. That needing someone meant losing yourself. And for many women, especially those who fought hard to build their independence, love feels like a trap. It feels like going backward. They've seen what happens when women lose themselves in relationships. They've watched mothers, sisters, friends disappear into partnerships where they became smaller, quieter, less themselves, and they swore they would never let that happen. The risk feels enormous. The reward feels uncertain. And the cost of getting it wrong feels like losing everything they've worked for. You're not crazy for noticing this. You're just finally seeing the quiet war women wage inside themselves every day. Let me tell you about Emma Watson. Yes, that Emma Watson. In 2019, she gave an interview where she refused to call herself single. Instead, she said she was self-partnered. The internet mocked her for it. But if you listen to what she actually said, it was heartbreaking. She talked about the pressure she felt turning 30 without being married. She talked about feeling like she was failing at something she didn't even know she was supposed to be doing. Here's a woman who starred in one of the biggest film franchises in history, who graduated from an Ivy League university, who became a UN Women Goodwill Ambassador. And she still felt inadequate because she wasn't in a relationship. She wasn't afraid of love. She was afraid of what admitting she wanted it would mean about her. Then there's Sheryl Sandberg, the woman who wrote Lean In, who told millions of women they could have it all. After her husband died suddenly in 2015, she wrote about how devastated she was. But what she also revealed was how much of her success had depended on having a partner who supported her ambitions. She wrote about feeling guilty for needing that support, for not being strong enough to do it all alone. Think about that. One of the most powerful women in tech felt guilty for needing love, for admitting that her strength wasn't built in isolation. And then there's a woman named Sarah whose story went viral on Reddit. She was a 4-year-old software engineer, financially independent, traveled the world, owned her own home. She met a man who seemed perfect, kind, funny, supportive. They dated for 6 months, and then one night, he told her he loved her, and she had a panic attack. Not because she didn't love him back, but because she realized that if she said it, everything would change. She'd have to consider his feelings in her decisions. She'd have to compromise. She'd have to be vulnerable. And that terrified her more than being alone. So she ended it. 2 years later, she wrote that she regretted it every day. Not because he was perfect, but because she realized she'd let fear make her choice for her. Here's what nobody tells you. Women aren't afraid of love because they're damaged or broken. They're afraid because they've been taught a lie. Society tells women they can have it all, but the moment they choose love, they're punished for it. If she's successful and single, she's intimidating and cold. If she's successful and in love, people question if she's still ambitious. If she sacrifices for love, she's weak. If she doesn't, she's selfish. The game is rigged, and women know it. So they do the only thing that makes sense. They protect themselves. They build armor. They create standards so high that no one can meet them. Because deep down, they're not trying to find someone. They're trying to stay safe. This isn't about trust issues. It's about survival in a world that punishes women for being human. Here's the hardest truth. Love will change you. And that's what terrifies women who fought so hard to become who they are. Because change feels like loss. Opening up feels like weakness. Needing someone feels like failure. And in a world that tells women to be strong, independent, and self-sufficient at all costs, love feels like surrender. But here's the real pain. The walls that protect you also imprison you. The standards that keep out the wrong people also keep out the right ones. And the independence that feels like power can slowly turn into loneliness. You're not weak for wanting love, but you're also not wrong for being afraid of it. Because love does cost something. It costs control. It costs certainty. And it costs the version of yourself that never needed anyone. You're not broken. You're reacting normally to an abnormal situation. Society handed you an impossible standard, and you're doing your best to meet it. You watched women lose themselves, so you swore you never would. You built your life with your own hands, and you're terrified of letting someone else hold it. That's not weakness. That's awareness. You're not cold or unavailable. You're careful. You're strategic. You're protecting something precious. Yourself. And there's nothing wrong with that. The women who are afraid of love aren't afraid because they don't want it. They're afraid because they want it too much. And they know what happens when you want something that badly. You give it power over you, so you keep it at arm's length, where it's safe, where it can't hurt you, where it can't change you. And that makes perfect sense. But here's what changes everything. Protecting yourself isn't the same as living. Being afraid to lose yourself means you're already losing yourself, just in a different way. Strength isn't about never needing anyone. It's about knowing you can need someone and still remain whole. The women who truly understand power don't avoid love. They choose it on their terms. They don't sacrifice themselves, they expand themselves. They don't shrink to fit someone else's life. They invite someone into theirs. You don't have to choose between love and strength. That was always a false choice. Real power is being soft without being weak, being open without being naive, being in love without being lost. You're not choosing between independence and partnership. You're choosing whether to let fear or courage define your life. And that's the real test of strength. Here's the truth nobody wants to hear. Women aren't afraid of love making them weak. They're afraid of a world that punishes them for being human. They're afraid of a system that tells them they can't be both powerful and soft, both independent and connected, both strong and in love. But the real weakness isn't in opening your heart. It's in believing you have to choose. Love doesn't make you weak, but fear of it will make you small. The strongest women aren't the ones who never need anyone. They're the ones who know their worth doesn't depend on being alone. You don't have to prove your strength by rejecting love. You prove it by choosing love without losing yourself. And that's the power most people will never understand. Until society stops punishing women for wanting both strength and love, this fear will remain. But you don't have to wait for the world to change. You can change how you respond to it. Stay strong. Stay open. Stay becoming who you're meant to be.